Break OTR. How about it, Dennis?
Okay, I'm back. I think we're working. Let me see. The jingle singers are back. Perhaps, yes.
On your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Your Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. Net Control Dennis here in the air chair again tonight for the Old Tube Radio Network. Central California is our place of origin, beaconing out everywhere at oldtuberadio.net and on the Universal Media Netweb, live and direct right here in the Central Valley of California. If we have skip, which we haven't had hardly any, and if you have a decent radio, which many of you do, unlike me, and we'll get everybody checked in and have things ready to go. The Old Tube Radio Network distributing information about old tube radios and hoping that you can find one in your collection and get it on the air tonight. And we will talk about it and talk with it. That's sort of what we do here for almost 40 years. So thanks for joining us. Before we get started, let me go out to the people that need to get early check-ins. It's kind of a cold, rainy evening here in the Central Valley of California. So probably a lot of people do not want to stay in the radio rooms if they don't have to. So I think I heard 61. Are you still out there?
Yes, sir.
All right, no problem. Let me bring up my radio check-in list, which is here somewhere, and put 61 in the queue. All right, Copenhagen, you are checked in. Thanks for joining us. Over.
Hello, radio. Audio. 145 Course Gold, like early check-in, please.
Okay, and up in Course Gold, where it's probably a little bit soggy, but not much, like here in the valley. Hi, Tony. Thanks for the questions. We will peruse them a little bit later in the net, and you are checked in.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Have a good night.
Any other stations needing an early check-in? Over.
Dennis, be sure and get 650.
The ever-popular 650 will do, no problem.
Break OTR.
The break OTR, go ahead, over. The break OTR, go ahead. Break OTR, go ahead, over.
Over. 5-1 checking in early.
All right, 5-1. Looking good. I'm trying to find my mouse so I can get the clicked in the clicks. Yeah, we got it. All right, thanks, Dave. We got you in there. Over.
Check. Have a good evening.
Also, let me start with 00, SWL11. Did someone say cornbread? Did someone say 00? I think someone said all of those things, and that is good because we are here and getting things going. Let's try a check-in, of course, for SWL number 1, and I would say also shortwave listener number 2, Mr. OBP, who is out and about on the Universal Media Netweb. If you're on the video, go to the chat and let OBP know, SWL2 know that he is 9 pounds, good modulation at Chestnut and Herndon. Let me get an early check-in, or not an early check-in, but early enough. SWL 31, in case you guys have to run out there. Robert and Teresa checking in from beautiful Hendersonville, Tennessee, on the Old Tube Radio Network here tonight. Thanks for that.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
You got the laser checking in there, Dennis. Good evening.
Good evening to you, Bob. We will get you checked in, and thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Thank you.
That's SWL 53 for those playing the home game, and I also wanted to check in SWL 64, Craig, who checked in early at the top of the chat there with no traffic.
Break OTR.
The Echolink link is up. We will keep that listening in. Also, hello to Rockwood, Tennessee, From Hendersonville to Rockwood, where it's 29 degrees with precipitation. It's about 59 with precipitation here. Breaking station, I bet that's 24. Go ahead.
24, checking in.
All right, Joe, got you checked in. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hello to Standing Stones, 1776. We will check in with JT live. We'll try and do a live link up here in a couple of minutes where they're running the Galaxy Saturn Turbo. We will find out what that is about tonight. Ontario CB Club is joining us tonight, as is Mid-Atlantic Radio Repair. Hopefully all the repairs are going well out there. SWL 69, I'll get Kenny checked in as well. From Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thanks for joining us, Kenny. I always miss your live direct check-ins. Maybe when we get some skip, you can do that. We did get 11 for SWL 0012. I've got a proxy check-in for SWL number 3. And then we will go over to SWL 5, Mr. Rainmaker Levon from his appearance over at Old Radio Night. Then we go to SWL 7.
SWL 7 checking in.
And sounding good. And while we're here, I've got a cat on my lap, but I think I can do it. The very beautiful, can you see it here? The very beautiful Sterling Audio Microphonium showed up unhampered. And I'm going to switch over. I hooked it into the board here. We're going to switch over. I think all I have to do is move over. Yeah, there it is. So if you talk into the back of it, it's like that. But those watching the video talk, it's a front fire condenser. So I haven't really done any EQ on it, but there it is. I mean, you can get a run up on it and do something. But we'll be switching back and forth occasionally tonight to the Sterling large diaphragm condenser microphone. But it's a beautiful thing. Over.
Good deal. I'm glad you can use it. And, that's great. Yeah, I have to start getting rid of a bunch of radio equipment, including the Browning and the Tram and all that. So if anybody out there in Fresno wants them, I can give them at a pretty good price.
All right, you heard it first on the LTM Radio Network. All right, I'm going to switch you up over to the other microphone, but this is a beautiful item of interest. And hope your moving project is going well. They can get daunting at times. Thanks for checking in.
And thanks for checking in.
All right, we are back. Test. All right, back to microphone number 1. The Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio's glowing in the dark. Let's go to possibly tonight. I don't know. This guy, he's got the busiest schedule in the town of Sanger. SWL 9.
How about it? This is SW9 checking in.
982, the Dirt Dog beaconing worldwide on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. It is good to have you along with us on the Old Tube Radio Network. I hope you had a great week. Over.
All right, thanks, Dennis. Checking on the Gem Marine Power Mate.
Hey, sounding good. We will be checking that one in a little bit later, but thanks for giving our shortwave listeners a little preview of what we do here on the Old Tube Radio Network, and that is a talk on our tube radios. Thank you, Dirt Dog 982. You are checked in.
Welcome, Dennis.
Sounding good on the tube radios from Sangertown tonight. Mr. Dirt Dog 982. SWL 10 and 30. Dwayne and Chrissy checking in from cold northern Idaho. I think you guys are warming up. I checked in with a couple of stations last week, and it was down into like 16 degrees, 13 degrees, so it was a bit chilly. But the best way to stay warm is tune in, and snuggle up to your old tube radio, which is what this guy does all the time. SW11, checking in as 00, checking in as 11. With some cornbread in the oven, no doubt. Dapper Dan looking dapper. I went into makeup this evening so that I would look good. Straightened my tie, and I'm good enough to be on television. Well, maybe not, but anyway, here I am anyway. 12, Dapper Dan and Mr. Cornbread. You are checked in, 11 and 12. SWL13, Mr. Cobra. Mike checked in over at oldtuberadio.net. Thanks for checking in there. Who is listening in? Up in the balcony tonight, Ware Shoals, South Carolina. The unknown SWL, Plymouth, Minnesota, going into the other rows. I can hardly see you with all the lights here. Hello to Centerville, Virginia, Edmonton, Alberta, San Bernardino. Did I tell you Frank Zappa made a song about San Bernardino, Sacramento, New York, New York? They made a song about that, too. Belfast, Maine. There's no songs about that, and there probably is a song about Fresno, but I'll tell you, you don't want to hear it. Who else is checking in? Let's go out to Sangertown for SWL-14.
Howdy there, Dennis. SWL-14 checking in, and check in Harvey, 20 as well. He said he's on the road and try to make it for the Tube Radio show.
Okay, he's probably that unknown SWL, so let's all wave to Harvey and tell him to, if he's driving, to keep his eye on the road and to be safe out there. The streets are wet.
Yeah, that's for sure. Just keep his eyes on the road. Probably wet weather driving, and looking forward to the tubes this evening, so thanks for checking me in.
All right, as am I, and perhaps a multitude of others joining us at oldtuberadio.net, and likewise. Joining us from tomorrow. Yeah, where it's tomorrow already, SWL-15. Hans is at the controls of his station, Alpha 173 in Copenhagen, Denmark. And I've got an X in the square for you, Hans. Hope all is going well out there. Oh, my noise went away. I might be able to open up the RF gain a little bit. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go to right here in the studio, behind the cameras. And it is nice. I agree. Charles says it's nice to have the jingle singers back with us again, and I agree. It's always nice when they can have a little vacation. What was it? Contract negotiations again? He's shaking his head. He says, no, they are here to do... In fact, let's just stop. Let's just stop right now and say hello to our jingle singers.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
Yeah, they sound a little bit different tonight. Are they? Oh, I see. You ran the condenser. You ran the Sterling condenser microphone over to the jingle singer tonight. Well, they sound good. Moocher. Somebody said Moochers joined me in the... Okay, that is actually a better spot for the Mooch Cat. I think we are mutually agreeing that if I'm here and she is over there, that we will not be jumping around and fighting with each other. Who else is joining us tonight from beautiful Lake Almanor? Did I not see... Or did I not see? It's small type here. I thought I saw a 799. I guess did you scroll away off my screen? I don't know. Let me move up a little bit. Maybe I was just truly seeing. I see Foxman 362 making contacts up and down the states here this week. And Hans said it is rainy in Copenhagen where he's at. There's 4799. The ESSB gang is currently on 3783. Yeah, 40 meters has been doing bad things for local contacts. We didn't have any skip going on here tonight on 11 meters. So hello to the gang there. I think, I didn't take them off. The West Coast ESSB group. And, of course, if you were looking for some voodoo audio... that is the place to be if you're tuning in, listening in at 3.783 on the west coast of the United States. Let's go to, thank you, Charlie, for checking in. SWL 17. SWL 18. Trying to adjust the receiver so I make sure I hear everybody. Oh, yeah, thank you for reminding me. We're getting 18A proxy check-in from Facebook, SWL19, as always. Chad here with the cue card. You were in early today. And when I turned everything on, you were right there. The door was already open, so everything looks nice. Helped me with my audio, straightened my tie, and we are good to go. He says he doesn't fool with the cat. Moocher does her own thing. We've got a check-in for SWL20. Harvey, if you're on the road, we got you checked in. Stay at 64.5 coming back, and we will probably be on in time to get you checked in. So no problem there. It looks like we will have at least a couple of radios tonight. Also, you know what? I am looking for the audio feed of Old Radio Night. Let me bring it up. They're on the Galaxy Saturn Turbo Wawasi, JB2K reverse preamp Delta Mike Shockwave GP on Old Radio Night. All right, I think we are there. I'm going to bring open the item, and they bring up the audio. We should be able to hear them as they're checking in. All right, there's the Galaxy Saturn Turbo, looking nice on channel 17. And the, what is that? The 2DA, that's the other D104, not D104, but the static microphone. It looks good.
SWL21, South Carolina, checking in.
All right, sounding good.
183, Charleston, South Carolina, also checking in.
We got 183.
That old knockman, 953, Collegeville, South Carolina, we checking in.
Live from Southville, Carolina. On the old Tube Radio Network from the Wasama Swamps, live and direct, coast to coast. Who else does that? Who else can do that? I don't know. You guys are looking good. Thanks. And you made it through on channel 17, coast to coast. Thanks for checking in.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
I just have a comment here. The audio on YouTube sounds normal pitched, and the delay in the audio is very short. It's doing pretty good tonight.
Yeah, what happened? Despite my best efforts to screw things up, everything was good. Well, I went on early and checked that we didn't have the delay pitch, and we didn't. But that doesn't mean, because I've had it come back before where all of a sudden it happens again. So I didn't restart anything. Once I had it good to go, I decided not to restart the stream. And so it is chugging away. And the delay thing, I don't know. I even went to the not ultra low latency. I went back up. So riddle me that, Batman.
I'm just going to sip my tea and ponder.
All right, this is the sip your tea and ponder frequency. Maybe Moocher put in a good word for us. He said, yeah, they'll be paying their bills. Just let them do what they are supposed to do. The old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. We are on the directed net roll call. Speaking of those real radios, they will be showing up here after the roll call. There should be a few of them here tonight. Already a couple of them have stopped by to check in. Thank you, Wasama Swamps. Let's go to SWL22. That's Tyler up in Alaska. Someone said go ahead and proxy him in, but we had no skip. I just barely heard the mini grass and some Australian stations in before we started here tonight. Over to 23 Skidoo. I'm checking to see what is happening, what is up, if they got washed out, if he's coping with Espresso Trucking Company. I will get 23 checked in on a proxy. Alpha Kilo 295 is your hello radio. Thanks for that. An Electro Q. It is so small on that chat window saying hello Moto. I heard that. Where did that come from? I think Moocher is doing something on the phone here, playing some games. Maybe she has the old Tube Radio Network app, if there was such a thing. And my mouse was working. Let's go to SWL 24. Joseph checked in moments ago. SWL 25. I said it right. Well, that's the first time. I got a proxy in for 25. He was in on the crossband not too long ago, so 25 and 74 checked in. Over to, and this guy, Dwayne, did a great job on the Wednesday night net, always checking me in, and he got a great signal, SWL 27. And I was remiss in reminding him to go out into Studio G on a Saturday evening. It's kind of wet and nasty around here. I will get him checked in because he did such a fine job on the Wednesday night net. That's on 10 meters. It's for the West Coast stations here, but occasionally the band is open on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific on, 28.445 upper sideband. Up the road we go to find out what's on the menu. And hopefully Gary has fully recuperated and is doing well out there near Sacramento. Get Gary checked in. Also, XYQ radio music at 3.8 megahertz. Perhaps one of the Voodoo Audio guys. Hello from QYX was XYQ, but we moved to a new town. There you go. Still part 15, AM 1620. All right, 1620 in that newer portion of the band. If you have a really old radio, I only go to 1605. If you've got a newer radio, you go to 1700. And if you've got a really, really old radio, I've got a Gilfillan wooden case radio that goes way past 1700 because there used to be police and stuff on that band. So do a little AM DXing tonight after the net. Put up your clip leads onto the window screen and listen to KNX out of Los Angeles and KFI and KOMO out of Seattle and KOB and KOA and try and get 1620 and see what happens. You just never know. Over to SWL 29. We've got a proxy check-in for Mr. Loner. Also, of course, SWL 30, Robert and Teresa. SWL 31. They are in there as well. So that's Dwayne and Chrissy, Robert and Teresa. SWL 32. Shortwave listener 33. Myself, Bozo Control, Mooch. Hey, Mooch, we're going to get you checked in, too. Let's go to SWL 34. That's Jimmy up there near Chicago. I was not able to, I was so busy this afternoon, I didn't get on Facebook, and he usually does a good job of promoting the net feed here. And I always like to try and encourage people to at least stop by and say hello radio and do whatever that stuff is, and maybe encourage them to, after they do that, get on the air wherever they are. Just turn the radio on and just start talking, right? I always say, there's nobody on. Well, that's because there's nobody on. So turn on the radio and say something. Then there'll be somebody on, right? Hey, Gary, I see a 28 checking in. It's been raining for a few hours. It rained here for about 10 minutes. We got the barometer dropped profusely this afternoon. 10 minutes of rain, no rainbow, and now it's kind of cold and yucky. But that is par for the course. So hopefully you're getting the rain that you need, and they're getting some rain down in Southern California as well. He's having a 7-Up. That sounds good. Gary, I'll have to bring in, I've got a little 7-Up outdoor clock from the 1940s that is in really bad shape, but it's got the little 7-Up logo on there. Extra toasted Cheez-Its. Did cheese and 7-Up, does that go with 7-Up? I guess what you do is you use the bubbles to to take out the taste of the Cheez-It. All right, more power to you there, Gary. Thanks for checking in. From beautiful, cold, and I don't know if he said snowy Cheyenne. Let me check. Yeah, Bill checking in. Red Monkey Communications about an hour ago. Bill checking in out there in Cheyenne where the snow is falling. Over to SWL 36. Shortwave listener 37.
37 here, Dennis, and good evening.
Good evening, sir. I'm glad you are radioactive tonight. Hope you are enjoying the weather, if it can be enjoyed. And thanks for keying up on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight.
You betcha.
All right, thanks for joining us. SWL 37. Let's go to up the road a piece. SWL 38. Sam, I saw you earlier, so I'm putting the X in the square. There is no skip. Maybe we're going to get... See, now that the VHF contest is over, we'll probably have all sorts of 10-meter and 6-meter openings tonight. We will find out, see if we start hearing the Idaho stations or we get reports from Colorado saying they're hearing us up on the wire antennas. Let's go to SWL 39. SWL 40.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just about to break into a bag of crackers.
You know, that sounds suspiciously like cat treats. And since I'm wearing the headphoniums and there's no external audio, Moocher Cat behind me did not budge a piece of fur when if she would have heard that noise, she would have been thinking, okay, where are the cat treats? So you are having human treats. You are checked in.
Well, I don't see any reaction from your CAT.
No, the Charlie Alpha Tango is just having a good time up on the back of the chair. Let's see, who else? Oh, Jack. Hello, good evening. Enjoying the show. That's 700 Weed Killer in the Buckeye State joining us. A lot of people stay up late. How do you do that? To join us here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Such as Jukebox 502 out there in Nine Land, saying, hope everybody is doing well, and I do too. Yo, 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 Ba Booey. Thanks for joining us, the Old Tube Radio Network. We've got you checked in. The CB Radio Lounge is up and running in British Columbia. Hello, Private Thor, and all the gang up there. Still no Squamish BC Kiwi SDR, which was right down the street from you guys. I tried to research to find out if it was coming back, and I never did have the call for them to find out if they have some, we'll be back. And the ones that are there are too far away. Boy, I can sound good on 40 meters at midnight, beaconing up there on an NVIS, but for what we need to do here, not so. Let's go to SWL 42. SWL 43. Add a little more. Add a little less RF gain. See what's going on. SWL 44. SWL 45. Hello to Paul and Kelly. If you're listening in up in North Fork, we're putting the X in the square. Hope to hear you all soon. And hope you are enjoying the nice weather. Stay inside. That's the best way to do it. SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47. SWL 48. I'll give Sammy a proxy check-in, or check-in. I think he was on the Ditch Banks. I missed Ditch Banks because we were having our live FM radio station concert last night. Went well. Had a lot of good turnout and some great bands. Let's check in with SWL 49. And SWL 50, everybody's getting checked in. SWL 51, Dave checked in earlier from near Sangertown, sounding good. And we'll give a call out to this guy, although he did check in, SWL 52.
And good evening, Dennis, and everybody else out there in Radio Land. SWL 52 behind the golden microphone, and I got to play with amateur television and microwave frequencies today, so that was a lot of fun.
Amateur and micro. So where were you at? I know there was sort of a what is it? Winter? Is what is going on in Winter Field Day?
No. This is a project that John and I have been working on, and we both have radios that are capable of doing amateur television. So we were just doing some testing in the garage this afternoon during the rain.
Okay, 25 words or less. I know the early amateur television frequencies we were involved in were up in like 432, that area, and that Pat was doing the space shuttle stuff, beaconing that from back in the day from Bear. So where is it that one does or can do the amateur television? What frequencies now?
There is still it's still possible to do it on UHF, but these particular radios that we have, it does it on 1.2, 2.4, 5.6, and oh boy, 10 gig. All
right, well, the 1.2, there were some repeaters. This is probably 20, 25 years ago, but that just back then, the equipment wasn't expensive. It still is, but not like it was. And just one more thing. So if you're trying the television, what are you using to produce the video? They have little things you can hook up your phone. I mean, back then you had to bring out a clunky camera and your VCR. I'm just wondering, what do you do now?
I'm adapting my Micro Four Thirds, mirrorless camera. I have to run it to an HDMI to composite converter because it's analog video on the radio side. But yeah, no, it actually works out pretty good. So yeah, we're probably going to be doing a demo in March at the meeting. So you'll have to come check it out.
All right, hopefully it'll be on a Friday where we're not working. We do once a month concerts at the station on Friday nights. So if it's not on, that's a second Tuesday, I think, or second Friday. So if it's not there, you can bet I'll be climbing under the fence to sneak in. All right, sounding good. Thanks for the information. You are checked in. We'll talk more about that. Sounds like fun. We're talking about some of the things that are available for those that get into ham radio, kind of just like this, but a lot more real estate and a lot more things you can do legally, I guess. You can do them here, but you can do them with the blessing of the FCC. Thanks, Aaron, for checking in. Over to SWL 53. I do believe we got Bob checked in. Yes, we did. I've got a proxy check in for SWL 54. Let me go over to SWL 55. SWL 56, ...
Well, good evening, Dennis and the Nat. 56, just for kicks.
And I have changed over to page 3 so I can get you properly checked in. Thanks for tuning in. What was going on Wednesday night? I checked in a little bit late, and I couldn't figure out, I think I did. I couldn't figure out what was going on with the roll call, and I'm going to guess, and maybe you know or don't know, that he was doing it alphabetically reversed on your first name. Is that what he was doing?
Well, I wasn't quite sure. He did jumble it up a bit. I don't think he went from alphabetical the opposite way. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, because you are right at the top, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. When you checked in the middle, and then I know I was in a whole group of D names, and then it was back-to-back Dennis's. So I'm thinking that's what he did. He went by names, but he probably did it in reverse order. Anyway, I was late, but I ended up being able to check in due to the wackiness. Anyway, no wackiness here. You're sounding good. The Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's glowing in the dark. My name is Dennis, in the air chair tonight, hoping to check in your radio after the roll call. What's going on? Copied CB trip from Peanut. Where's Peanut, California? And Fremont, California. I know where that is. Popcorn. No call sign, but he sounded familiar. That's Frank out there. Electro Q, Q-Tips, yes, he is talking indeed about his ICOM 905. Of course, last week was the VHF contest. A couple of stations here newly acquiring the 905. Pretty neat that they are incorporating all that into a radio, so you don't have to do transverters and everything else, but you're still going to have to get all sorts of antennas. So just because you have the radio doesn't mean you're out of the woods, right? Still you got to work on getting the antennas. But we've got a couple of one station in here particularly. He's actually on the list, SWL73, who often shows up in QST on contests, especially in that 10 gigahertz range and around that. John does a real good job. So I don't know. Maybe there'll be a 905 in my future. I have some good mentors here in town. It should be fun. Let's go to SWL57. Shortwave listener 58. I'm checking to see if I didn't miss Brown Dog Audio. I think I'm okay. And the 10 gigahertz is a transverter on the 905. Okay, well, I know you had to buy some extra flavor on some of that stuff. Let's go to shortwave listener 59. That's Uncle Hairball. Get 59 checked in. He was on the top of my page, and he's right there right now, checking in. All right, thanks for joining us. We're probably ping-ponging between all the shenanigans over at Old Radio Night and here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Let's go to SWL60. Hello, Joe.
Hello there, Dennis. SWL60 checking in.
Checking in and checked in and sounding good doing it.
Thank you, Dennis.
SWL61, Dino checked in earlier. Let's go to SWL62. Shortwave listener 63. Oh, there's a big buzz thing going on. SWL64, Craig checked in earlier, so I'll give him an X in the square all the way from, I think he's still in Wisconsin. He's in a 9-land somewhere. SWL65. Shortwave listener 66. SWL67, Bill is in. Where is he on my checking in from Canby, Oregon? Not too long ago. I'll put the X in the square right there. Thank you, Bill, for checking in. Bill used to check in here live. One of the many stations that is no longer in the Central Valley, but is able, thanks to the Universal Media Netweb, to tune in, check in, and turn on the Old Tube Radio Network, and we love it. SWL68 Michael checked in earlier, as did SWL69 Kenny from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Here's a guy, another guy that does the nets in fine style now that he's back on the air everywhere. SWL70. I'll get Mark proxied in. He might step in, but he's a busy guy. But he's got the station coming up and looking good. SWL71, of course, is Stan from Dallas, Georgia. He was in earlier, but he is working the Winter Field Day today. I thought he might be. I did not. No, I did. I officially checked into one station that was in Northern California today on my brief encounter on 40 meters. And I was able to get a contact to that station, but Stan is out working on the WFD, Winter Field Day. Hopefully, wherever you are, it is acceptably not too cold to actually do Winter Field Day. Let's go to SWL 72. SWL 73. Got to check in for John, who might also be working Winter Field Day. SWL 74 has got a proxy check in over to SWL 75. All right, Mooch is trying to use the microphone keying hand to get some scratching here. That does not work well on a Saturday evening. Did I call 356 BYU SWL 75? How's about SWL 76 from Johnson, Rhode Island? I got to keep my eye on the right screen here to know who's in and who's not in. Ontario CB Club doing live nets every Friday at 9 p.m. All right, any more information on where we can hear that or what frequency we need to be on or any of that stuff. Put it right out there. That'd be cool. SWL 77. I've got a check-in proxy for Dennis, which I will get. Also, SWL, we've got some crunchy static going on. SWL 78, I think I saw Richard on the big screen here. Let me go up. Yes. From checking in from soon-to-be wet Wildemar, probably about half an hour or so ago. I need to refresh my page. Hello to those just joining us, coming into the balcony tonight. Grapevine, Texas. Brookline, Massachusetts, Middletown, Ohio, Moraga, California. 25 and 74, we got you there, Jerry, no problem. And my screen is updated. SWL 79. And I'll get Philip checked in. He was in there a little bit earlier. Did I mention don't have to be on any list? Don't have to have any numbers to come in and say hello radio. This is not a club. There are no special secret handshakes or dues to pay. Just a voluntary association of people who are interested in the use and promoting old tube radios and getting on the air and making your CB radio sound like it did when those tube radios were brand new. Back when at 9 o'clock you turned off, what was it, Red Skelton or Jackie Gleason or Ed Sullivan Show, and did you go to your phone? No, because it was sitting there with a little dial on. And so you went to your CB radio, wherever it might be, and got your little 5-minute conversation in, and your 5 minutes off, and you had a great time, and you thought, this is great. I don't get a bill at the end of the month for talking to somebody. And nobody tracks what I say and what I do. Maybe they should come up with something like that. Let me go to page 4 here. SWL 81. I knew that. That comes after 80. I didn't have to turn the page to know that. SWL 82.
82 checking in from the wet ditch banks of Biola.
Yeah, sort of the wet and muddy ditch banks. Boy, you're sounding loud tonight. We were doing our Tower Live concert last night, so I didn't get out back into the air chair until 10:30. We had a good time, so just checking up on the net. Was it quite like this? There was absolutely no skip coming into this thing.
Very quiet, little light on the check-ins, but something must have been going on. But anyway, it was fun, and I had to cut out right after the net. Had to do the work thing today, so yeah, I wish I could have stuck around after the net and talked it up some more. But anyway, that's just how it goes sometimes. So, all right, Dennis, you take care, and we'll be listening from afar for the old glow-in-the-dark radios to come on.
Good deal. Well, I'm speaking to you from a near, and now I'm speaking to you from afar, and now I'm speaking to you from a near. That's the voice of Bones, Ron, that's WL 52, who, if you are around on a Saturday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific time and you dial your specific radio up to 27.365 and turn your mode switch to LSB, you'll hear Ron coming during the Ditch Banks sideband net, checking in everybody. There's a spot for guests at the end, and he's got a great receiver. Skip Bland often happens, sometimes, not last night, of course, but so we'll get you checked in up there. A good time, a good way to end the week or to start the weekend. Get on your sideband radio. Fire up that tube. Fire up that double sideband Regency Imperial with that special Greg S9 VFO and get up there and give him a call. Thanks, Ron.
All right, Dennis. Have a good one.
The Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. We are looking for SWL 83. That's, who's 83? That's JZ way out there in Ohio. Let me say hello to the Adventures of Tim and friends. Winter Field Day 2025 has been busier than the past few years here in West Texas. I just wasn't on enough this afternoon to get truly involved with that. I'm a 1H here in SJV. Tim says he made some good CW contacts today in particular. So what is it? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Did-it-da-did-da-did-did. Is that the FD? Here on da-da-da-da-da-da-did. Here on OTR. All right. Good for you, Tim. And I can't remember if it's like the regular field day. Was it go till noon? Something 100 Zulu hours tomorrow, if I get up early enough. Unless the winter field day. They don't make you stay outside all night. Maybe it's very short. I don't know. But good that it was good. I did, like I said, I did get to make my one contact tonight. Let's go to SWL 84, who's probably been, he's a ham. He's probably been involved in a couple of field days in his day. He is involved with the noontime net on 7204 on the West Coast with his old tube radio. So we'll check in Jerry, the Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl, 84, 86, 87, and 88. Looking for SWL 89. SWL 90. SWL 91, Felix, staying up late as always to say hello. Radio, I see you this time. I'm not going to miss you. There you are. 91 is checked in. And he's given a big hello radio to everybody out there, including Bozo Control. He's got a microphone. You know what? Let's go back. We can do it. Let me go back to I'm going to switch over to the condenser. Here we go. Pick it up. The Sterling. I got to talk on the right side. The beautiful Sterling condenser, large diaphragm condenser microphonium. Hello, radio. Occasionally we just pop in. That don't sound too bad. Kind of different. Made by Sterling. I think you can pick these up relatively inexpensively, perhaps, for your ESSB pleasure or not. Probably needs a little EQ. All right, back to the other microphone. Here we go. Who's next? SWL 91. Felix is in. Let's go to SWL 92. That's Mr. Robin. SWL, let me go up to, keep going. That's not one. SWL 95. SWL 96. 96 is Kurt up in Kokomo. Maybe he's doing winter field day today. SWL 97, Jim, Boston 97 is right there. Checking in on his CQ field day. Field day under the heated umbrella. Probably have more West Coast stations on that. Oh, I got a whole bunch of people on the Echolink link, so we'll try and get that coming up here in just a moment if you're listening. Echolink coming up. SWL 98, Tracy. You got Tracy checked in from Facebook, of course. And who knows where else. SWL 99. I haven't seen Randy in yet, so I'll put that on hold, but we'll get Randy checked in. He usually puts in a good signal on 75, 40 meters. I talked to him here on 11 before, on 20 meters. I talked to him on 20 meters a couple of weeks ago, believe it or not. Let's go to... We're going to open up the Echolink link if I can get the link to come up here, so hang on. All right, opening up the Echolink link. Let me go to Tony first. Tony, if you're there, take a transmission. KD4BAO, KB6GFD. All right, we're going to check in with Tony, SWL 100, on the Echolink link. Here it should be coming up.
Dennis. Please check in SWL
100. Good to hear you. Back to net control, KD4BAO.
All right, you were fine. I had a couple of technical difficulties, but I think I'm on. I see my transmit audio is looking good, and you are sounding good. Tony is the purveyor of TOTA, Tubes on the Air. He's about ready to start the activation as soon as I say the word that we're checking in the tube radio. So thanks, Tony, for that. KB6GFD. And since I'm on the Echolink link, let's try and get a couple of the other stations that are listening in. Tyler, if you're there, KL5TW. Hello, Tyler. This is KB6GFD. Take a transmission. Checking to see if Tyler is in. If we can do it by Echolink, we'll try it.
Well, let's see if the thing's working.
Yeah.
Dennis, Cal 5 Tango Whiskey here. I did check in earlier. Hopefully Echolink's working. I haven't checked it on this station recently, so hopefully this is working. Thanks for running the net, and always a pleasure to be heard on the old Palomar Skipper 71 when I can. Back to you.
Back to me in the studio. Sounding good. There was absolutely no skip this afternoon. I heard maybe Hawaii and very low. So I knew I wasn't going to hear you guys out of Alaska. But you're sounding good on the Echolink link. Thanks for stopping by, and maybe over the air when the conditions warrant. 73 KB6GFD. That's SWL 22.
All right, always a pleasure. We had good conditions out there earlier for me, but it's all down into Florida and Tennessee and Texas, and eventually crept around the West Coast. All right, KB6 GFD, KL5 Tango Whiskey.
All right, thank you. And let's do one more. Let's see if we can get X4000. Let's see if we can get X4000 in on the Echolink, and we'll get back to the other roll call, but it's always a good thing. KN6LW, KB6GFD, take a transmission. And you might recognize this voice coming up, X4000, the voice of our intro, along with Billy May and Stan Freeberg. If he is listening in, sometimes it takes a while for the Echolink links to come up, but he is there. If not, we'll catch up with him a little bit later. All right, nothing heard. KB6GFD, back to roll call. Back to the direct net roll call. Let's go to shortwave listener. Thank you for standing by and being patient. SWL 102. Checking in, saying hello to the shortwave listeners from Scranton, Arkansas. Hello, John. You're looking good on the list tonight. Shortwave listener 103. 103 is Joey out of South Carolina. I have to see. Sometimes he checks in on o2radio.net. There you are. Take a transmission on the Echolink link, KB6GFD. Over to you, Brian. All right, I think X4000 is in on the Echolink link. We must have a very big delay.
Hello, radio. Yes, I was trying to connect to you, but then the app went weird, and I'm not in my air chair, so I don't know what's going on the show. But I heard you call my name, so I thought I'd check in, KN6LW or KX4000 or whatever you want to call me. Who am I? What do I want? Where did I come from? Yeah, I hope you're having a good, if not chilly evening in Fredericksburg. Up here in the north, it's kind of the same. I think we're supposed to get rain. I don't know. But whatever is going on out there, I have to go out there and get a pizza for us to eat. So I'll be mobile shortly. KN6LW.
Okay, not a problem. This is the go get something to eat frequency. We had our 10 minutes of rain. It ran away. It went up to the hill, and it put out the PG&E power up at Meadow Lakes. The generator did not start for the FM transmitter, so the station's off the air until either someone drives up there and tries to start the generator, which probably isn't going to happen, or PG&E is accurate enough with their system saying that things will be back at 11 o'clock. So a little bit of wackiness up in the hill, but not much going on down here in the valley. All right, thanks for checking in. Go get that pizza and be back here in about 10 minutes because we're going to need you to sing us in the tube radios. KB6GFD 73. All right, thank you, X4000. And Kurt 96, if I passed you by, it's because you are so new on my list, I didn't make the connection. So I see you there now, 96. Let me just, if you look above my head on the quad split there, you should see the confirmation that you are checked in, and that goes into some blog book forever to know that you checked in tonight. And he's talking about, I'm glad I saw this. Passed his general exam today, did winter field day, exhausted. And that stroke AG, that /AG, I always remember how great that was to have that. Back in the day when it took 8 weeks to get your license, you had to say that for 8 weeks. This is, stroke AG /Alpha Golf. And now you're pretty much in the QRZ book, and people don't have to look in the call book and say, you're supposed to be on this frequency. I don't know, but good deal. Maybe we'll, let's see, you're in Nineland. Oh, yeah. I should be able to catch you. Get a, I'll get you on 10, I can get you on 15, I can get you on 40 at night. You never know. All right, we'll be talking on some other frequencies. Cool stuff. As we were talking earlier about, if you're out of real estate on 11 meters, don't hesitate to do some studying to get yourself your ham radio ticket, because you've already done the hardest part, which is figure out how to talk on the radio. Once you know how to do that, the rest is just putting some X's in the boxes to pass a test. Let's go over to, did we see Joey? Yeah, 103 up to 109, Mr. Crawdad.
Good evening, Dennis. Crawdad 109 checking in.
SWL 109. Hello there. Sounding good. Hopefully the rain didn't catch you in the middle of doing something. You sound good, and you're checked in.
Luckily the rain caught me right after I was done doing something. On the way home from Reed, we had a natural resources state finals today, but the rain didn't affect us too bad there.
All right, got out just in time, and you made it back safe and sound, and even took time out to key the microphonium on the old Tube Radio Network, as you have been doing for a long, long time. Thanks for joining us, and you're checked in.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, see, there it is. One busy guy, and yet he finds the time to jump into the air chair and say hello radio. Been doing it for a long time. That is what makes the old Tube Radio Network right there. It is all the people jumping in, jumping out, whether you have a tube radio or not, or like to share your tube radio or just say hello radio. Perfect stuff. That's the way it should be. That's the way it was back when people actually dressed like me when they got in front of their CB radios back in the day. Let's go to SWL 111. Robert checked in over at oldtuberadio.net. I saw him there, so we'll put an X in the square. Over to SWL 113. SWL 114.
114 checking in.
Sounding good as always, Wayne, and we've got you checked into the old Tube Radio Network. Thanks.
Thank you for the check-in, Dennis.
Jumping over to up to SWL 128, I will have to check my chart over at oldtuberadio.net and see if John made it in from Fairfax, Virginia. And there's 103. I see you, Joey, on checking in on your 1978 Cobra 148 GTL. I'm looking for John. There he is, 28, checking in about 45 minutes ago. One of the few people I know who actually has the popular electronics SWL card back when that was a thing. Back when you, if you had the Hallicrafters SX99 and a clip lead to the window screen, you could listen to the world. Thank you. You can still do that, actually. Don't have to wait. Go find one. See if you can pick it up and put it on the desk. Put that clip lead on. Let's go to SWL 131. Shortwave listener 133. SWL 135. And 135 checked in on the crossband earlier, so if you're listening, Cliff, we've got you checked in, of course. SWL 137. And then we're going up to 145, and Neil checked in, let's see, that's Tony, he checked in earlier, and we'll get to the questions, but let me get officially marked in 145. Tony up in Corsco, who also is sitting in the air chair on an early morning net, 7 o'clock, one of the times. He does many, but 7 a.m. on a 2-meter net here, which I have not been able to check into because my schedule changed. Tony checked in. He left us in with some of the questions of the day. We'll get to those in just a moment. SWL 147, Neil up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Kakalaki, and he says he's got 3-inch snow from the storm that hit Florida. Frequencies are very active contacts in North Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, Hawaii. Hawaii's a good shot from where he's at. UK, he's not in a good spot to get all that stuff. He's not too far east or west in the morning. And that's Dr. Jazz, of course, 147. While I have a chance here, what time is it? Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close to checking in radio, so don't go away. I'm looking to see if I can find, there they are, the Friday questions. I have not seen these. Sometimes I tried to preview them, but not tonight. So here we go. Question number 1. Years ago, a prominent manufacturer sold a tri-bander antenna that used concentric elements. Who was that? So years ago, a prominent manufacturer sold a tri-bander antenna. So that would be like 10, 15, 20 meters, something like that. I think that's what we figured that out. Who's used concentric elements. So was it Step IR, Mosley? I've got a Mosley. Gonset, or Cushcraft? I've got a Cushcraft. So who would that be? I know the answer I want to say, but I think this is a trick question. And the answer is Gonset, G-O-N-S-E-T, the young spring and wire company, Faust Gonset. We've talked about the Gonset guys and gals here on the Old Tube Radio Network because we've checked in some of the Gonset radios, and they were the first ones to sell a tri-bander antenna that used concentric elements. I wonder if there was something that you slid in and out manually. I don't know. I've never seen that. I'll have to do a search for that. Everybody knows the Step IR with the trombone elements that you can get now. It does the same thing. Let's go to question number 2. All right, it's getting difficult now. H3E, Hotel 3 Echo. H3E is the FCC designation for what? Okay, those of you who are good at searching the internet, try and find that one. It should be there. H3E is the FCC designation for what? So it's going to be some type of mode, right? Like A3J. I should know what FM or what AM is, what we're doing. I want to say it's A3 something, but what is H3E? And that designation is for single sideband with full modulation. Well, what other kind would you have? It was designed for maritime mobile distress because it retains the full carrier. Older ships that use double sideband receivers could receive distress calls. So that's very interesting. So H3E, single sideband with full modulation. Well, it seems like full modulation, but it's got a carrier. So that would sort of be like your Regency Imperial. That's a double sideband suppressed carrier, and we're double sideband right now. And the old Collins KW1 was AM with single sideband. They cut out one of the carriers. But anyway, the good thing is the reason they did that is you had two separate people listening. Somebody that needed a carrier and somebody that didn't. So you were doing the H3E. Well, we're going to do some of that coming up with our tube radios. Thank you, Tony, for the questions. Let's continue the directed net roll call. SWL 188. Bobby, are you by the microphonium? Snowbeast Jr., 188. Central Valley's, what version of Motor Mouth Mall, I think, with the big antenna and the good sounding audio. Up in Corscold, I think I heard Jim check in early, but I just want to see if he's still out there at the radio chair, SWL 195. All right, up in Corscold and sounding good. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, well past the 9 o'clock hour. And we've got the X and the square. Over. All right, I'm glad to do it. We're getting ready for some tube radios. You know, when we hear the Course Gold station, that the tube radios are not far away. And Timmy, hello. Lighthouse Green Company, Bluegrass, Kentucky, waving. And getting down, getting up, keying down, keying up. I don't know. Anyway, Timmy, thanks for joining us here at the Old Tube Radio Network. Something we do every Saturday, 8 p.m. Pacific time. And we have been doing this, and I know it's hard to believe, since about 1986, most Saturdays. Back when the old tube radios that we're going to be checking tonight were a lot newer. They weren't as old. Let's go to SWL 226. And anybody else who I missed that wants to say hello, radio. All right, I'm going to take a quick break I've got to set up some stuff for the tube radios and change a couple of internet things, and I will be back with your glow-in-the-dark radios. The reason this whole thing was started long, long ago, to promote the use, distribute information, and just get your old radio on the air. Doggone it. Back in a bit, the Old Tube Radio Network. Hey, buddy. Now I'm getting strange noise. I don't know what all that noise is. Moocher, you're gonna make me do this, huh? All right, we're gonna use you as a table, Moocher. What do you think about that? You don't think, huh? Oh, I gotta reset something, or maybe I won't. You know what? We're not going to reset. Everything is working fine, so let's not mess it up. Oh boy. Are we ready? I think we might be. Shot. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
All right, thank you, dear X4000, Billy May, Stan Freeberg. Back in the day in radio, I think it's from about 1962, when he was one of the last people doing a radio program as things were moving on to television. Sort of like us. We're doing these old tube radios when things were actually moving on to transistors, but the tube radios were built well, sounded good, and they're still around, as we will prove tonight. The Old Tube Radio Network, we're listening for any and all radio check-ins.
Station?
Station, go ahead, over.
Evening time, Dennis. Made it back to the desk, 188 checking in.
All right, we figured you might be somewhere around the air chair. It is good to hear you. Good signal as always, and 188 is checked in with the X and the square, over.
10-4, evening time to everybody.
He's doing a number on my ALC there with that big signal.
SWL number 7.
And speaking of big signals, I'll put on the S meter too, so people can see the good signals coming in. And SWL 7, take a transmission. You looks like you have our first radio on the list. Over.
Ah, very good. First radio is a Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB with the banana type microphonium, which is now up for sale for $400.
All right, let me get a picture of a likeness of the Browning. This will not be the exact radio that you're listening to, but it would be a reasonable facsimile thereof. The Mark III SSB from, 1972 to 1976. And the only reason they stopped making them is because they had to do something with 40 channels. But it's a two-piece radio because there's a separate transmitter and separate receiver. Hard to hook up? What is it? Just one wire, one connection, right?
Actually, there are two connections back there. One for the electricity and one for the radio line, the SO239 that hooks into there. And of course, I've also got the switch on the back, like you heard there. It can do a long screech or a short one.
So yeah, if you'd like to orchestrate your ping, you can do it by extending the secret capacitor thing, and if not, you can keep it a little bit more stock and standard. Okay, I've got the right screen here. Take a transmission. Show everybody you've got a nice 20 over signal. He's about a mile away, but still putting in a good signal, and of course, you can't beat the receiver on a Browning Golden Eagle Mark III. Over.
Yeah, there's a little ping. This thing has actually got one of the best receivers of all my radios. It's been my favorite over the years, but unfortunately need to let it go. So, there it is, the good old Browning Mark III.
Golden Eagle Browning Mark III. So, yeah, would like to keep it around the neighborhood here and keep it checking in. You have been, and in fact, Ed is one of the many people who has actually sat in the air chair as net controller, possibly, I don't know on that radio, but on some radio.
Yes, I've actually even done it on this radio. In fact, that little ping modification in the back to go short or long was put in by SWL number 2 himself, OBP.
So you could be 9 pounds, good modulation, Chestnut and Herndon, and that when you're checking people in, they don't have to wait 3 seconds to get back to for the ping. Nice and loud, sounding good. And before we go, let me go. Ed, I've got to switch over. Where is it here? All right. There it is. Switch over to the Sterling, the large diaphragm condenser mic. I have fun. Okay, go back. Hold on. I hooked that up specially through the audio board. Now we're back. So sounding good. Like I said, I hope we find a good home for that here close by to keep it checking in for 20 more years.
I sure hope so. At least that's what I hope anyway. I'm sure that anyone who gets this will be well satisfied because it's a really nice radio. In fact, Harvey recently had to go through it because there was a little bit of an issue, but all is right with Harvey and the radio now.
All right, got to get the right microphone. I've got 2 microphones, and one of them is wrong if they hit the wrong button. Yes, sounding good. Our first radio of the evening, Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, and that one is up for sale. So anybody around the area here, make a note and get a hold of somebody or let us know you're interested, and we'll make sure that that goes to a good home. It always sounds good. Thank you for checking in, Mr. Ed.
And thank you, Dennis, and of course all those listening on OTR.
The Old Tube Radio Network. Also, while I'm here, let me check in SWL 99. I see Radio Randy has stepped into the air chair. He has swapped his mode selector possibly to AM. He's given a call out, and of course he's discovered that we indeed have no skip conditions from Cape Creek to here to Fresno, but wants to get checked in, and I will do that. You'll see the 99 above my head somewhere. Yes, and the official check-in, Randy. Good to talk. We talked on what? We talked on 20 meters and 75, sounding good. Thanks for joining us here tonight. OTR is standing by, and we are looking for radio number 2. And those are listening, and you can hear, I have all sorts of strange, I don't know if it's the weather, like weird, whiny, crunchy, staticky noises that I don't normally get. Sounds kind of spooky out there, but we are listening for your radios.
Is it working?
Yeah, I hear you. You cut in and out, but there's plenty of audio and plenty of signal from Sangertown over.
Okay, well, let me see. I don't know why the relay seems to be acting up. But yeah, I'm checking in on a new to me, but not new to OCR. Dirt Dog previewed it earlier. It is the Gem Marine product, Gem Power Mate. It has a static E104 gray base microphone. Play wireless radio from Chris, and this is the first time that I have powered it up. It's nice, really radio.
All right, it sounds like a bad mic connection. The signal, the carrier is staying stable. The microphone connection sounds like it's trying, and occasionally it might unkey. So my guess is there's a microphonium connection somewhere, perhaps. Or I'm trying to think, if you have a mic gain control, I would rotate that, but I don't think those came with a mic gain. I've got a picture of the radio. I believe it's a G Power Mate from Gem Marine Products, and they've got their interesting logo. Let me see if I can actually get my mouse to work here, which seems to be failing me. And we'll get a shot. Yeah, they got the G looking like that, and there's a name for that. Any ship people out there, the little steering wheel on a ship for their G. Anyway, watch either stretching or pulling the mic cable too much and take another transmission over.
Okay. Yeah, there it goes. Hopefully it's making it now. But yeah, I tried tightening everything up, but I'm thinking the microphone here has an issue. So let's see. Yeah, it seems to be working again. But it's a nice radio. It has a real neat blue, like a Papa Smurf blue color, I would call it.
All right, I think you sent it back to me. Yeah, we have a shot just from the head on. You can see the blue surround, squelch volume fine-tuned. This is the Panasonic 2 chassis. So inside that radio, you've got, same as a Robin T123B, I believe it is, and all the other people that shared that chassis. Just for some reason, they didn't get to put a lot of extra stuff on the front end of the radio. So my guess is this is more of an economy model. But same thing inside. When the audio comes up, it's really loud. Is that an amplified microphone?
Well, I was just looking at the bottom of it, and it does have a little thing there to turn it up. So maybe the battery might be dead. But like I said, I just pulled it out and probably should have investigated a little further. But watching the meter, I've seemed to get a little more swing on it when I get up close to the microphone. So maybe the head might be a little worn out. But at any rate, it seems to be working now. So hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to take back to you.
I hear you fine. In fact, if anything, when it's actually full functioning and you're up close, you might be a little overdriven. But it's nice and loud, not flat topping too much or anything like that. So not a problem that way. So when it gets all shaken out there, you can probably end up cranking the audio back or just moving back off the mic. Sounds good. Nice and loud, though. Good punchy audio and a very decent signal here into Fresno Town, the Gem Marine Products G Power Mate. They also did some mobile radios as well. And like I said, you've got the internal workings of that, I believe it's plate-modulated Panasonic number 2 chassis. So that's a good radio. Over.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. Yeah, it's very strange. It seems to work just fine, but when I back off, it acts like it's on sideband or something. That's when it starts acting up. But yeah, I'll have to go through it, spray the contacts and all that stuff out, and give it a good looking over. But yeah, really nice radio, excellent condition. You know, Chris took really good care of it, and it has a nice little stand on the bottom of it. I don't know if that came with it from the factory, but gives it, you know, raises it up and kind of points it at you. I do like the green receive light that it has, and it has a red transmit light. And it's kind of like the Cobra Cam 88 where you have to turn the squelch on because it has a standby there.
The ever-popular standby switch, and I noticed it had the switchable SRF meter as well. Really, really strong, nice-sounding audio. Occasional little bit of noise in the background. I think that's just from the connection. Trying to be 100%. Doing good. Yeah, nothing wrong with the radio. You're probably, I didn't do a frequency check. You're close on frequency, so it looks like it's just, like I said, either internal on the mic head or something in the keying circuitry, or therein doing it a bit. But that is a good microphone. Whatever microphone you've got sounds really good for that. So not a problem. We've marked it down for radio number 2. Good to hear it on there, and good to know that it will be hanging around the old Tube Radio Network for a long, long time.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. Appreciate the time for the Jim Power Meet.
Yeah, Jim Marine Products doing a good job, the old Tube Radio Network. And I want to wave a hand to S9 Radio. Hello, Greg. Wiki Whack and Snowy Big Bear Mountain, SoCal checking in. I think you guys were, you got lucky this time with the fires, but I know, like I said, you were saying about maybe you'll have power, maybe you won't. More like maybe you won't. Great video today. Greg just posted the ultimate comparison on the Regency Imperial and the Imperial 2, and I never knew. I mean, I knew the obvious, but it was nice to see the radio with the case off and what was going on inside. I have both radios. I recently acquired the Imperial 2, and my very, very first radio that I picked up in 1970-71 was the Regency Imperial, and that's the radio that I got started with on the old Tube Radio Network back in 1986. And so it needs a lot of work. I picked that one up when I was in high school, and excellent. There we go. Excellent radio, great, double sideband suppressed carrier audio, and like you said, doesn't put out much. A lot of people think, this radio's only doing 1.5 watts. Well, it's how you can be heard when you are in the noise. And yes, I had the same problem with the synthesized crystals. All of a sudden, channel 8, channel 13, channel 17, and channel 23 are gone. I put a piece of foil over that cage to heat up the crystals. I think that was the wrong thing to do, but they would come back occasionally. So, when I get in, Greg, when I get into that and start doing some of your recommendations on the refurb, I will definitely be calling you and putting in the VFO, and really hope to get one of those as a net control station here, as the Saturday night radio to key up on and do the net, as I did almost 40 years ago. Great video. Keep those coming. I know you have other videos on the Browning and other stuff like that, but I really appreciated seeing the Regency stuff today, and things I thought I knew, things I knew and forgot, and some new stuff that's going to be very helpful for doing a refurb. So great deal on that. You are listening to the old Tube Radio Network. Real radio's glowing in the dark. Since the jingle singers are back, they're recommending that I don't dally, and at least let's hear from them so they don't take another long vacation. You are listening to the old Tube Radio Network.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz.
on your dial. That's
Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
in wonderful
Fresno, California.
And we are listening for radio number 3. Hey, Joe, I hear you. I'm just playing with my receiver here tonight. I got so much noise, and I have to squelch it out, and then it goes away. I have to unsquelch it, and looking good. But you're breaking through all of it with no problem. Sounds like you've got radio number 3. Take a transmission.
Thank you much, Dennis. How about a little E.F. Johnson this evening with the Johnson Messenger 223.
Messenger 223, another workhorse. And unlike the Regencies of the day, 1966, 67, 68, and the Regency 2 that had the sideband and were way above $300 or close to $300 and above, here was a nice economical radio from E.F. Johnson, and they kind of knew their market. They had a lot of mobile radios to go, but they had the one really, really nice bass, and Joe is on it right now. I got a picture of that. They sold for about $200, and I think back when I first got on Citizen Band radio, I would dare say that was probably the most heard radio that a lot of people had that radio. Of course, they were aspiring to a Browning Golden Eagle or a Tram, but this one would not only get you by, but as you can hear, in fine style. Take a transmission.
Thank you much, Dennis. Doggone it. Thanks to old Louie, our friend, number 93 there that passed. I was blessed that he offered it to me at a fair price there. Doggone it, we've had it. It's been maintained once already by Harvey. It's my style of radio, Dennis. I mean, I'm not the all knobs and all kinds of fancy stuff on radios. This is my style of radio. I can just turn it on and do my business.
Exactly, and that is what it was made for. Class D Citizens Radio Service was not supposed to be ham radio. There wasn't. It wasn't set up for what they called idle chit chat. Although I don't know. I don't like that word. It wasn't supposed to be technical. In theory, you weren't supposed to be checking stuff out, use it for your business, or you used it between units of the same license class. So you would license the station, not yourself like you do in ham radio, and you'd have KEO 8492 base, which would be the station you have there, to Unit 1 or Mobile 1, which might be their Messenger 123 or something else, and you would be talking locally within, couple of blocks to 15 miles, and checking up like a portable telephone, basically. But of course, E.F. Johnson, who also made ham radio equipment, knew that, you just might be doing a little bit more. So they built the radio with some great audio. They kept crystal control like they were supposed to, 5-watt DC input, and they kept it nice and simple, but you could still talk a long way. Over.
Oh, most definitely, Dennis. Everything was done right on these. And all the radios, Johnson-type radios, mobiles. Of course, I had more mobiles than bases. This is my first time to run a Johnson tube type. All my Johnsons were mobiles, and whether there was the black face, I know you've heard of that one, the black face mobile. I forget particularly the number on it there, but Johnson was a good brand. 5-watt output. This one here, 14-watt peak on it, and doggone it, I can't deny it. And Waseca, Minnesota knew what they were doing when they made this 23 channel.
Waseca, Minnesota. Oops, I changed the spot there. We used to have, it was a ham radio guy. It was Larry. He worked at the E.F. Johnson plant in the 1980s. So it was a great place to work. I think the warning he said for those radios is he said the crystals would, if anything would go bad, it would be the crystals drifting. But you're pretty close to being on frequency, and a lot of the Johnsons, E.F. Johnsons that we have, don't have that issue. Again, these radios were built in 1969, 1970, and here we are, well into the 21st century, and it's a daily driver. It could be. Sounds like you just took it right off the shelf. And I would put it up, for audio clarity, I would put it up against anything you could buy out of the shelf today. Any plastic radio, transistorized radio you'd buy off the shelf today sounds good. E.F. Johnson, of course, over 100 years old, the company, I believe. And they were good in making transmitters for ham radio, receivers, transceivers, and they got into just at the right time. They were one of the first manufacturers in 1959 to actually make an offering for Class D. So good stuff. And this was their last offering of tubes. Pretty much they molded this radio from 1959 and kept adding channels and an S meter, and that's how it got the name 223. Back to you for transmission. Always glad to hear it on there. Oh, and it came with a microphone that had the word Johnson on the front. Do you have one of those?
I have the exact microphone you're talking about, Dennis. It does say Johnson, and on the bar also. I'm looking to get another element for it to put it back on here. It resembles a Turner Plus 2, but it doesn't have the battery settings for it. Yes, I have the original Johnson stock desk mic.
I think it was like a Turner, not a Plus 2 because it wasn't amplified, but it had the Viking head logo on it. Added another $15 to the radio set, but that was the fact that it was a base radio. You could not run the 223 mobile just by changing a cord on it. Now, you could probably put it mobile with a converter, and like Ontario CB Club said, they made various, the Messenger, the 323, I think there was a 123, and I'm not sure if that was smaller, that were solid state. One of the first companies back in the late 60s to start going solid state with their mobile radios, but keeping the tube radio base stations up until about 1972. Looking good, sounding good. Your old tube radio network, this is how it sounded, really, back 50 years ago. Not only the sound of the radio, but just listen to the demeanor of how we're, our stations are coming and going here tonight. And that is why a lot of people, at some point, 4 million got on CB radio, because it was fun. Talk to your neighbors, and maybe the only, and you remember this, Joe, maybe the only time it might not be really fun is when someone said, Uncle Charlie's in town. And then you turned off the radio and you watched whatever came on after Jackie Gleason.
Yeah, I remember those days exactly. And we were paid a visit one day. Doggone it, it was just my problem with running a little power there, but I remember, I'd never forget my courier base that evening. When they left, they took all my crystals with them. They made sure I didn't broadcast anymore, but we apologized for that and got back on the airway there. Okay, Dennis, this 10 tuber here, 23 channels, isn't going anywhere. Maybe moving a spot or two on the desk here, but it's not going too far. We appreciate it, and we'll have another one.
Yeah, back in the day, they could really spoil your afternoon with those $50 and $100 fines if they went that far. Or just a little notice of, please don't do that, and then, like you said, kind of making it a little bit difficult to do that. And they had the vans, they had recording, they would record you, and they'd have transcripts. It's like, man, go pick on somebody else. Oh, before you go, very interesting, and thank you, Jim. Boston 97 says he picked up an interesting Turner because it had no lockdown mechanism, and he has since found that the Johnson doesn't have the mechanism either. So those of you who have the Turner Plus 2 desk mic, there's that little slide lever, and I think the early ones, I don't know about the later ones, but on one of the sides there's a little slide lever, and if you press it down and slide it forward, it will lock. And I'm looking at the close-up here, and Joe, you can confirm it on your E.F. Johnson microphonium. Were you wanting to lock that down with the lever? There ain't no lever, right?
No, I'm sorry, there isn't. Once you let go of that rascal, it's back in operation.
So interesting would be, did the Turner Plus 2, it had the slide lever, did they make a Turner microphone that didn't have the lockdown, a Plus 2? I think the Plus 2 was always amplified. So maybe this was their standard desk mic, and maybe the lock to talk was added just for the Plus 2, because, we like to key down. We'd like to have those old buzzard transmissions. I don't know. I'm surprised the FCC probably didn't ban, they didn't like having tone control or tone devices built into the radio. They abandoned, or they nixed that. So maybe they would say, you know what, if you have a lock to talk, you can just lock the microphone down and walk away. That's malicious interference. We're not allowing you to put a lock on your microphone if you're selling it with with a citizen band radio. That could be. If you were selling it as part of the radio, maybe you couldn't have a lock to talk on it thanks to the FCC. That would be something to investigate. Thanks, Joe. Radio 3 sounding... are you radio? Yeah, Radio 3 sounding good. Over.
Okay, Dennis. I appreciate it. Yeah, the lockdown on the turn plus 2 had a little lever on the side. You could pull that forward there and hold on your key down if you wanted to, but unfortunately, no. The Turner plus 3, and that was a different story. That had lockdown also. Okay, Dennis. We'll be moving on to another one. Thanks a whole bunch.
All right, no problem. Thanks for joining us. That's what I thought. I'm thinking if it's sold as part of the radio, maybe you couldn't have a lock to talk. What do you think? The Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's Glow in the Dark. We are glad to have the Jingle Singers back over to Studio B, and then we're listening for radio number 4.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
14 beaconing in to the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. So we've got you take a transmission. It sounds like you're on Radio 4.
That is correct. And is this thing making a squealing noise? It's the Mark IV Brownie. Now, it didn't make the squealing the other day when Harvey was here, but I think I might hear it again.
What do they say? This is the stuck pig frequency. There is a bit of squealing. I think it does make the ping. I'll listen. But there is some, I don't know. I don't think you have it turned up too high. If you have some way to turn that thing, is there an impedance issue going on? We will find out. But there is a bit of an oscillation. You'll probably, like you said, see that on some wiggle meters somewhere. Over.
Okay, yeah, I can see something's going on. Well, that's unfortunate. I'll have to get it to our tube radio, Dr. Harvey. But go ahead and put my Mark IV on the list for Radio 4. And this one has a Silver Eagle microphone. And sorry for the never-ending ping.
No problem. I brought up a brochure back when they spent big money. Don't go away. Back when they spent big money for 1, 2, 3, like a 5-fold, 6-fold color brochure. I bet that cost a pretty penny, showing the Mark IV with that new microphone that it came with. Still separate transmitter and receiver, some new features, and there was some hybriding going on in the transmitter, I think. But there was a 23-channel version, which I didn't think they sold many of, and a 40-channel. I just want to confirm yours is the 40-channel version.
Yeah, that is correct. It is the 40-channel sideband version, and I have checked it in on the sideband net before, but it's a little pinched off frequency it's had.
Yeah, Brownings take a little bit of finesse to operate sideband, and I don't know about the Mark IV. The Mark III, and they were really good about doing this, actually had a VFO control for the transmit. And you're thinking, wait a minute, you're supposed to be crystal controlled. The only way I think they got over that FCC hurdle was they notice, I think if you look at it, it's a plus 700 and minus 700, and the tolerance allowed for a crystal by the FCC was 700 cycles, 700 hertz. So I think as long as they thought, well, you're crystal controlled and you're allowed to move that frequency 700 hertz either way, which is intolerance, and you're still on the crystal. I'm not sure if they put that in on the Mark IVs or not. I have a feeling the FCC probably said, no, that's too much trickery.
Yeah, negative on the VFO. It has the scan rate where you can increase the speed at which the thing flies through the numbers. If you go any much faster than halfway, it's uncontrollable. So yeah, it's a radio that started it all for me. An old friend of mine gave it to me, and it's a great radio when it's working properly. I love the way this thing sounds, but yeah, it'll have to go to Harvey, and he'll have to give it a good looking over. And but yeah, other than that, I appreciate the time for the Mark IV.
Okay, thanks for bringing it by. It almost sounds like an impedance match issue. You have a lot of high frequencies. I mean, the Brownings are made that way, but you are missing a lot of low frequencies, so maybe there's impedance things going on that's rolling off a little bit. Good audio, though. There is a squeal, so no need to key back up, but we needed to talk about the Mark IVs. For Browning fans, you will find a lot of people that say the Mark IV is their fave. Mark III, Mark II, R27, S23. Browning did a good job. Unfortunately, this was sort of at the end of their run for radios, and I guess some of them were built by Browning, maybe some of them were not. It's hard to get certain parts. There were enough of them out there. There's enough of a fan club for the Mark IVs. It's not too hard to put something back together if you really want to do that. So thanks for stopping by on the Old Tube Radio Network. You are listening, speaking of the Old Tube Radio Network, you are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. My name is Dennis, one of the many net controllers that sit in the air chair here of the Old Tube Radio Network, something that happens every Saturday evening on Channel 11, 27085. We've been doing this since around 1986. Somewhere along the line, we added some streaming audio and some video so that others could get in and get the idea that's like, yeah, we can do something like that, or I remember those radios, or that's the way the radio used to sound, or that funny guy sitting in the chair said, yeah, I used to dress like that. Look at the ads for 1963 radios. People dressed like this, so you've got to play the part if you're going to add pictures to radio. I want to say hello to Sheer Luck Ohms, checking in with us tonight from cold northern Minnesota, and I see up in the balcony checking in Old Tube Radio Network, Potomac, Maryland, looks like. And I'll update the list. We are listening for your radios, your check-ins, the Old Tube Radio Network saying, get on the air wherever you are. If you're in front of the radio and it looks like it's glowing in the dark, key it up, or is it key it down? Key up the transmitter by keying down the microphone. Joe is doing just that. You've got radio number 5. Go ahead.
Thank you much, Dennis. This evening we're going to key up our little radio out of Iowa. I guess out of Iowa, somewhere in Iowa. They decided to create these little guys. This one is called the Hustler. My Hustler bass.
Get the big picture. This is courtesy of CB Tricks. They got the best picture. I think you can find them on eBay occasionally, but this says it all. It's a cute little radio. Nice blue front. We'll talk about the 7 tubes. I don't have any other information. Price, I'm sure this was probably very affordable. Don't have the exact date, but it had some of the little tricks to keep it cheap. 7 tubes. They took out everything that wasn't necessary. They took out that 7th tube, and it stopped working. So they put it back in, put the case back on, and said, we're done. WRL, World Radio Labs, Leo Myerson, who was no slouch when it came to making big-time, good-sounding radios, and this is one of them. Take a transmission over.
Most definitely there, Dennis. In fact, I think this could become part of your outing if you had to go out, to an outing one day, a campsite possibly, and take your a little extension cord there and hook it up to the mobile, do your little business out there while you're camping. Nice little radio. It's not very big, has a carrying handle. It also has your mic hanger, and it has its original stock mic, so it could have possibly been used for anything.
I never thought about it, but that could be another way to keep costs down, is to wire the mic in. So you don't have a mic connector. What would that have been, 29 cents? I don't know. Back when these radios came out, times 1,000, saving that 29 cents. It's got the, I think it's 8 channels with an external crystal socket that's right there. And then you tune all 23. I'll have to say that seems a bit of a narrow spread on the tuning dial, but I'm assuming as you turn it, it's geared a little bit so that it isn't too hard to find us on Saturday evenings.
Oh boy, yeah, I don't think I'd have any problem with it. It is like you say, it's kind of unusual for me. It is but we don't mess with the bottom at all. We stick to the top. We stay with it. It has an extra crystal on it. I guess you could put your emergency band if you wanted to, or maybe a personal friend or something add a crystal, and you and him can always be talking. But doggone it, for 7 tubes, it's lightweight. It's not very heavy. About 3/4 size of a loaf of bread. So you couldn't go wrong with the little radio.
You definitely cannot go wrong. Somebody just came in the door up there on the balcony. Near Bentonville, Arkansas. Hello to you at the Old Tube Radio Network. Come on in. The green room is open. They always have something to eat, and we are checking in some great radios. This one, and Joe, you have a lot of radios, so you're a good person to ask, to which to ask this question. And you know what? I'm going to go over to, hold on, I'm going to go to the condenser. Got to pick up the, where is it? Okay, talking in the right spot. Going to the Sterling condenser to ask you this question, which is, what was the question? Oh, how hot does that radio get? I see the convection cooling holes in the top on the right or the left side, and I know you have one of the Robins, as I think it's super hot. So comparatively, would you, if you were cooking dinner, would you use the Hustler or would you use the Robin? Over.
Well, the main course, I guess, would be cooked on the Robin, and of course, I'd probably want to heat my bread slices with a little butter on top of the Hustler base. Doggone it, no doubt, the Robin burns hot.
So it has something to do with that 7 tubes, or only 7 tubes. All right, I just wanted to switch, as I occasionally do. It's fun. This is the large diaphragm condenser microphone tonight. If I turn it 180 degrees, that's what I sound like. That's how good the rejection is on this microphone. You turn it around the front, and there it is. It is heavy. It's like holding a calzone or something. All right, let me switch back. Hold on. Back to the control room microphone, and back to you.
Oh, thank you much, Dennis. I am on a Turner. It's a Turner Plus 3 desk mic, power mic, and we do have the original blue mic to it. And one of these days, we'll come back with it so you can kind of get the original feel and hear it the way it was, created for. Okay, Dennis, I'll get out of here, let the channel rock and roll a little bit. The evening's nice, it's quiet, and doggone it, maybe we'll get a little rain later. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, 2 playoff games. There are 4 teams left. Winners of the 2 tomorrow will go to the Super Bowl February the 9th.
Forget about the Super Bowl. It always happens around this time of year, I guess. I know that I'm not in television anymore, sitting in master control trying to run the Super Bowl. That is the worst day, the worst place to be when you are pressing the buttons on those. See, locally, not network, locally, pressing buttons on $25,000 commercials. They got one chance to run, and you're the guy doing it. A little bit nicer to be in the air chair here of the Old Tube Radio Network. World Radio Labs, Leo Meyerson, getting into he probably had to sneak this in. He couldn't tell his ham radio buddies that he was taking his designs. He was taking the Globe Scout. He was taking the Globe King, and he says, I'm going to put it in a little tiny box. I'm going to take out all the tubes and sell it for $150 because we have a market for it, and make it look good. And make it look good doing it. Good stuff. I want to say hello to, who is joining us? Airwaves Amateur Radio. Well, thanks. The Old Tube Radio Network. We've been doing this a long, long time. A way to get think of it as like going to the hamburger stand, right? And on Friday evenings and looking at the cars, looking at the DeSotos and the Lincoln Continentals and the Edsels, the fins in chrome. What we're doing tonight is, and every Saturday evening when we do this, is the fins and chrome of about the same era of the Citizen Band radio service. The mid-century modern designs and stuff made in America and all of that. So thanks, Joe. You are, if I wrote it down, I was looking at my list here, you are radio number 5. And Airwaves asked a question. You have an Optimon 9100 in the background there. Okay. I usually don't like to talk audio because it's boring to most people, but what you see is a very old Optimon. It's got the key. You know, Bob, Mr. Orban said, we don't want those DJs playing with this stuff. So it's got the key in there, and that's an 8182 for about 1980. So that was the single dual band for television. 667, hear me. You can watch the 6-7, watch the Hilbert Clippers going on there. So that's in the chain. That actually is. But just the Clippers. And then the other stuff up here is the multi-band stuff from Wheatstone and Aphex and your typical Voodoo ESSB audio rack. You know, somehow, unless you see a lot of meters wiggling and the lights flashing, you can't be on the air. They knew that with the tube radios, too. That's why they put in those magic eye tubes. We are listening, standing by for radio number 6 on your Old Tube Radio Network. And I have no idea what that random noise coming in tonight is. Jingle singers are saying, if we do one more little jingle, maybe we will encourage people to check in one more radio. Let's see if we can do it.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR.
Let's do some adding.
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
Let's do a little RF game here. You know, I was thinking, we were making the car reference, and the CB manufacturers, think back in the early 1950s when you had Hudson and Kaiser and Packard and Nash, possibly Tucker and DeSoto. There were a lot of manufacturers of automobiles. It wasn't the big 3, but you had, a lot of big pieces of metal from which to choose. And when you look back at the CB radios in the late 50s and early 60s, same way. A lot of different manufacturers that sort of went by the wayside. Some of them were crossovers from amateur radio, Hallicrafters, Hammerland, Johnson, and the like. And a lot of other companies that, didn't make radios for the amateur people. And then as things got, later, especially early 70s, manufacturers started dropping out, and then you look in the box and it's like, hey, everything seems to be made by Uniden. So this is the fun part. It's going back and even listening and talking about the early manufacturers, and just like automobiles, how they had to style their radios each year, coming up with something new. The knob design, the layout, where they put the S-meter, if they're going to put in a magic eye tube or not, what kind of colors and designs. It was all like designing a car. Very unlike what you get today, which is, well, it's more functional. I really don't care about the design. It just needs to fit in the box and work. The Old Tube Radio Network counting and mounting soon. There's a couple of more minutes left if you would like to check in your radio or check in yourself or say hello, radio. We are here 27085 in the Central Valley of California. Maybe elsewhere, if we were having Skip, the FCC, 2 years ago, said it's okay to talk more than 159.5 miles or whatever the restriction was back in the day. Just keep your 5-watt DC input going, and we won't bother you. OTR is listening.
60.
Hey, Joe, let me clear out the Rolodex here, and we'll find out what you've got next. Go ahead, over.
Yeah, Dennis, we'd like to check in our Robin. Our Robin, 123B. This evening, 11 tubes, 23 channels, plus about another 9 extra channels on it.
Excellent. We talked about the Robin 123B earlier, same Panasonic chassis, similar to the Gemtronics, the Gem Marine. That was Gemtronics as well, but the G Power mate from Gem Marine Products, a good radio. And there you go, 11 tubes. That's what's cooking your dinner tonight. It doesn't even have a rectifier tube. They had a lot of stuff. And I think there's a 12AX7 in your audio as well. Take a transmission on the green machine. No, I'm sorry. I've got the wrong one. No, I've got the right one. It's the 123B, right?
Yeah, 123B. Yeah, a few features on this one, Dennis. You've got your extra speaker, your PA speaker, your jacks, your button types, but they've also got lights to back them up. So that you know that they're working. On and off, it's an on and off squelch. You pull the squelch and put it back in there for, change a little tune, the tone or whatever. You fine tune, of course, your RF gain. And your squelch and, doggone it, a few features on this radio, definitely a nice one to run. It keeps me occupied looking at it and the beauty of it. It's narrow, it's wide. They put a little work into this radio.
Yeah, they did a good job kind of distributing that Panasonic chassis, and then with the different models or manufacturers saying, you know what, you get to have, this is deluxe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panel lights, some external speaker switches. They added the RF gain. I think I'll have to do a close-up on it. Still the same insides, but the fancy red, just like cars. It's like you buy the Ford, you get 2 headlights. You buy the Mercury, you get 4 headlights, right? you buy the Dodge, you get tail fins. You buy the Chrysler, you get bigger tail fins. So this is the same way. What microphone are you running tonight?
Dennis, we're on the D104 powered, and we've been happy with it. We would like maybe someday experiment with another microphone, but right now all my mics are down the wiring. We don't have another one to hook it up to, but it's the D104 powered.
All right, it's a little more bassier than the D104. Typically, the D104s have a brighter sound. That's why I thought maybe you were running like a Turner Plus 2 or something. It sounds good. No problems with the audio. I just checked the tube complement. You're right, 11 tubes. 12AX7, the modular mic preamp. A lot of 6-volt tubes in a 12AT7, but 6BQ5, I think, for the final. 11 tubes, 2 transistors. I believe the transistors were to help a DC to DC conversion because you can change just a plug in the back. I think got to have the right plug, and you'll be able to, instead of having an AC socket or AC plug in the back, prong, you'll have 2 little wires to hook into your 12-volt DC auto system. This was 23 channels, of course, built before the FCC ruling in 1976. So from 1972 to 1976, this was the Robin radio, and then the FCC said, nah, no more. And they upgraded to the 240D. Made in Japan by Panasonic, but sold by Robin. Good sounding radio. Take another transmission. You are radio number 6, and it is that bewitching hour. Back to you.
Thank you much, Dennis. And yeah, this has a few things on the back there. It has your meter adjustment. Also, your you can kind of tune and peek in the back, just from the outside. And I think this one has, I'm not sure if it has an earphone jack there for the headphones, but I'll have to look and see. I'll make sure I note that down for the next time. Okay, Dennis, thanks a whole lot for letting me run these radios tonight. Like I say, the evening's pleasant. I hope it stays that way, and I'll bid you a good night and listen to the rest of the fellows.
Absolutely. It's sounding good. It's got an external speaker, so I've always got a speaker jack in the back. Maybe that's what you use for the headphoniums. Do not know. And Alpha Kilo 295 talking about the solar cycles back then. Apparently the big one, if you talk to some of the old buzzard amateur radio guys, of which I'm almost one, I guess, the 58, 59, whatever cycle that was, that's the one everybody says you could get on 10 meters with 5 watts in a wire. So it coincided with the loss of 11 meters, or the transfer, let's say not the loss, but the transfer of 11 meters from a ham band in 1958 to a Class D. And so think about it. The first radios that came out in 1958, late 58, 1959, 1960, are in the middle of that cycle, whatever number it was, I don't remember. That was the biggest and best that we've seen so far. And so you've got all these rules about what you can and cannot do, and you turn on your radio and you're hearing stations from all over the U.S., no matter where you are. So it's a little bit difficult not to want to talk to somebody and be very excited about it. And the subsequent, 11-meter cycles when, gee whiz, it's 20 over. And you can't talk to Unit 1 down the street to tell them to get a loaf of bread because they're listening to Texas or California or North Dakota. Interesting stuff. We've had a lot of fun on the Citizen Band radio service. Counting and amounting the old Tube Radio Network. We'll be listening here for a couple of minutes. And then the jingle singers said,
You're tuned to
OTR, Channel 11,
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
now there's an oxymoron for you.
Modern 19th century technology.
All right, let me jump back into the air chair, and we will put we used to have a ham radio, guys. We're putting the ribbons on it. We're put the ribbons on the old Tube Radio. I never liked that saying, but putting the ribbon. We're going to put the ribbons on the old Tube Radio Network. Mooch is still down here, out of camera range. Where's my stats here? Oh, but first of all, they're pointing, saying you can't give the totals until we do the appropriate fanfare. I guess we pay a lot of money to get this orchestra into the studio here, so stand by.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
All right, this will be the current and final totals tonight. The old Tube Radio Network. Should I do it on the... I don't think I can. Let me should I do it on the large diaphragm microphone? Maybe we will do that tonight. Let me see. We've got 17 check-ins on page 1, 16 on page 2, 18 on page 3, and 21 on page 4 for a total of 70. Looks like 71. I can't read my own writing, but it's something like that. And you know what? Let me go back. This isn't going to work. But it's fun. Always fun to pick up the large diaphragm microphone. And radios tonight, grabbing my list because my memory ain't that good. Who is the most heard manufacturer? Looks like the Brownings, just barely. Started off with the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from Mr. Ed. And he is going to be moving around. He's going to be, as we used to say, going mobile at some point. Needs to lighten up the load on the tube radio. So that one is for sale. Might be spoken for. Looks like we're trying to find a local station to pick it up and keep it checking in for all two here. That would be cool. Out in Sangertown, a couple of radios. Sean on the Gem Marine Products G Power Mate. Had what I'll say is a microphonium issue, because the radio seemed to be solid when it was there. Just occasionally would have some type of unconnection, disconnection, not sure. The E.F. Johnson Messenger 223 from Joe was Radio 3 tonight. You can't, if you're looking to start your collection, and E.F. Johnson sold a lot of those radios, and they're all nice looking, and it's not hard to find one in good shape. That's a great way to start. Not a lot of stuff to go wrong. It's like, what first car should I buy? You know, get a car that doesn't have a power steering and power brakes. Nice little 4-door Ford Falcon, right? And it can't go wrong. It'll get you there. Same way with the E.F. Johnson. Everybody likes those. Radio number 4, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV. With a little bit of extra flavor in the audio. Not sure what was going on with that. The radio itself, no problem. So maybe impedance mismatch. Maybe it just got up on the wrong side of the radio bed this morning. Radio number 5 from World Radio Labs, the Hustler, HUSTLAR, checked in by the Hustler. Got something going on there. And then Radio 6, you just heard it moments ago, the Robin T123B, the nice green radio. Chrissy should be glad we got that one. Thanks for joining us. If you were one of the radio stations that checked in, the video gets archived, so you can actually go back and rewind the tape, as it were, and watch your check. And I always try to get the S meter on, so you can give yourself a signal report and hear out sounds. We do sort of a direct out from the radio, direct into the internet. So hopefully what I hear, what everybody else hears, is what you will hear as it goes back into the replay. We will try to do this next week. Yeah, same time, same tube channel, 8 p.m. Pacific time, channel 11, the old Tube Radio Network. Check into JT on the old radio night for some cool radios there. If you're back, he's got a great radio. He'll probably hear you on Skipland. And I'm sure if you've got something local, we had one of the stations saying they have a Friday night, and that starts something. There are people out there, believe it or not, so they will appreciate it. 72 plus 1. You can do the math on that. The old Tube Radio Network signing off and clear for another week. Thanks for joining us.
Are we done yet? Yeah, sounds like we're done.
Again? Please repeat your plan. Repeat. Two India Charlie Tango. We are 2 India Charlie Tango.
There's some
212 India.
40-meter sideband. The guy's doing the winter field day. Band's not that great tonight.
It's the frequency engine. Roger. Thanks for not further. 73. Where is that? Whiskey 0, Charlie, November, X-ray, QSL? QSL. Please copy 2 India, Charlie, Tango. 2 India, Charlie, Tango.
Copy that. 2 India, Charlie, Tango. Can I get your call sign, please?
Whiskey 1, Quebec, India. Whiskey 1, Quebec, India.
QSL and I'm 1 Hotel Charlie Oscar. 1 Hotel Charlie Oscar, Colorado.
Roger. Thanks for Colorado. 73.
73.
See, where's that?
Listening in on, what are we listening on? On one of the SDRs out of...
CQ Winter Field Day, CQ Winter Field Day, Whiskey 1, Quebec, India. Whiskey 1, Quebec, India.
Out of Prince George, British Columbia. So they're hearing stations thousands of miles away here, which is typical.
CQ Winter Field Day, CQ Winter Field Day, Whiskey 1, Quebec, India. Whiskey 1, Quebec.
The band is not hopping.
CQ Winter Field Day, CQ Winter Field Day, Whiskey 1, Quebec, India. Whiskey 1, Quebec, India.
Kilo Fox 0, Sugar Fox X-ray.
Kilo Fox Zero, Sugar Fox X. Please copy 2 India Charlie Tango, 2 India Charlie Tango, QSL. QSL. Copy 1 Hotel, Echo November Echo. Roger. Thanks for Eastern Nebraska. 73.
Can you repeat your call sign again, please? Eastern Nebraska, you see that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you repeat your call sign again?
Kilo Foxtrot Zero, Sugar Foxtrot I got a copy for Kilo 5 Lima Romeo Whiskey. This is Kilo Papa Golf Uniform. Yeah, somebody's in there, but you're off frequency there. CQ field A, CQ field A. 0 Papa Golf Uniform.